Last thing I have for you this morning is our MOPS ministry is about to get geared back up. And I'm going to ask, we have a lot of our MOPS ladies with us, so I'm going to ask all of our MOPS ladies that are here if you would stand and let us recognize you. These ladies are part of our MOPS. You guys are the leadership team, right? Thank you all. They have a table out in the gathering space. They're going to be out there after the service, and they will answer any questions that you have or anything like that about the ministry. This is a really, really important ministry. They are trying to reach as many young mothers in our area as possible and to connect them with churches. And so be praying about their ministry. A couple of them are going to come up and speak this morning to tell you a little bit more about their ministry. And so Miss Lindsay and Miss Stacy, if y'all would join me, they're going to share a little bit more about the MOPS ministry.
Good morning. Get on up here, Stacy. Thank y'all so much for having us this morning. It's a pleasure to be here to worship with you and fellowship with you. I love trying out new churches and seeing new faces, so thanks so much for having us. I have the honor of serving as MOPS leadership as the prayer and care person. So I just get to love on moms. That's my whole job, is to pray for them and to care for them. So I'm really excited to be serving in that capacity this year. I'd like to share a little bit about MOPS this morning in general, and then also what MOPS has meant to me personally. And I think maybe there's a slide about MOPS. If you want to look at this behind me, that's a little bit about MOPS International. So MOPS is not just here in Meridian or in Mississippi or even just in the United States. It's an international ministry. So there are moms loving on other moms all over this world. And I just think that's so beautiful. MOPS says that better moms make a better world because you're raising better children, healthier families, all of that. So it's a mission I very much love. And a little bit about what we do here. If you don't know, we meet just right down the hallway in your fellowship hall right there. It's a beautiful meeting space. We're so, so thankful to have the doors of this church open to our moms. We love it so much. So a little bit about what we do in our local MOPS group here. We meet twice a month, most months, the second and fourth Thursdays. And we have small groups, we eat brunch together, we sometimes do crafts, stuff like that. But the most important part is just connecting with one another on a personal level and talking about what's going on in our lives, talking about Jesus. It's a really, really powerful time of just people getting together, loving on each other, and supporting one another. At our 15th Avenue MOPS here, we have approximately 60 members registered, and we have so many more than that coming in and out. And so even more than the 60, we have people that are just getting loved on constantly. 45 preschoolers roughly attend our MOPS Kids program, which Miss Kayla is heading that up this year. Moms get to come and leave their kids in excellent child care with, they're hearing biblical truths taught, they're getting loved on. It's just a beautiful thing. So it's for the moms, but it's also very much for the kids. It's a ministry to them as well. And then aside from our 2 monthly meetings, we also do service projects as a way to love on our community. So this past year, for example, we filled and donated over 100 bags, like big Ziploc bags of essentials for kids in foster care. So a kid would show up in foster care and not have their basic needs, not have diapers, not have onesies or socks. So we would fill up those bags and leave them with Department of Human Services so that when they send a kid to foster care, they would have some basic necessities to get them through for the first couple days. So that was one service project we did. We also hosted a baby shower for a single mother who had come to us through the Center for Pregnancy Choices. And so we just had a baby shower for her and introduced ourselves and said, hey, welcome to motherhood. We're here for you. You don't have to do this alone. So that was a really beautiful thing. And we also offered an 8-week study called the Fierce Love Collective. And it helped moms who were struggling with postpartum depression or anxiety or any number of mental health issues, and it talked about how motherhood is full of a lot of emotions and a lot of things, and there's identity issues and struggles, and this collective was a good way to dive deep into how to be the most healthy version of yourself so that you can be the most healthy version for your family. It was really beautiful. So those are some of the things that we've done. It goes way beyond 2 meetings a month. It really is a sisterhood. It's a fellowship that goes way beyond our meeting spaces. So I'd like to share a little bit about what MOPS has meant to me personally. I have 2 little ones now. When I first was reflecting on this, I only had 1. So I have my brand new 3-week-old with me here this morning. This is actually her first time at church, so thanks for being her first church, guys. But when my first baby was born in February of last year, I knew that life was going to change. I knew it would be different. In this new season of life, I was finding myself neck deep in both extreme joy and extreme challenge at the same time. For those of you who don't know, motherhood, especially when you have little ones, can be very isolating and you're taking care of someone else's needs all day long, and you can forget about your needs. You can forget about your husband's needs. It can be very isolating and very life-consuming. So as soon as I was ready to venture out with my little one, my new little bundle, I was a little bit afraid of germs. I decided that I would give MOPS a try. These are people who know what they're doing. They're veteran moms. I can ask them questions. I can pretend like I know what I'm doing, all of that stuff. And I'm really glad I decided to give MOPS a try. It has been such a beautiful thing for me. There are so many ways that MOPS has encouraged me and challenged me and met needs that I didn't even know that I had. So here are just a few things that I love. Vulnerability in MOPS is met with compassion every time. Anytime I've opened up to my MOPS friends about a struggle, whether sharing at my discussion group or posting a prayer request on our Facebook page, I found zero judgment and only understanding and compassion. And it takes a lot to expose yourself to someone and say, this is what I'm struggling with. But anytime I've done that, man, the love of Christ has just been poured right back over me. I'm just so thankful for that. Another thing I love is that my MOPS friends are prayer warriors, y'all. Like, they're the type of people when you say, yeah, I'll pray for you. No, they're really going to pray. And how do I know that they're really praying? I see it. I'll ask for prayer, post it, or call a friend or whatever. And I'm saying, like, within days, I've seen God move in the situation I was asking prayer for. And I know that my other MOPS friends would say the same for them. There's so many amazing things that come through this ministry. So this expression of love through praying for one another is priceless to me. I love it. There's no mom shaming in MOPS. You'll find moms from all different walks of life, moms who are stay-at-home moms, moms who work part-time. They might choose homeschool, they might choose public school, like whatever. Any issue that you have to decide for your family, we have a diversity of those people in MOPS, and we don't shame each other for that. I found that we are able to trust the Holy Spirit to work in our own lives, and trust the Holy Spirit is leading that family too to what's best for them. And that's just been so freeing. I know a lot of mom groups can be like social clubs with a steep initiation. You have to do it all the same way. And we don't have to be the same. We can unite in the things that we do have in common, unite over Jesus, unite over our motherhood, and not have to shame each other for the different choices that we make. And that's so powerful to me. The brunch is really good. That's another thing I love about MOPS. You might think I'm really shallow for getting hype about food, but it's so good. Our MOPS have some amazing cooks, and it's really good. And to me, it's just the beauty of sharing, breaking bread with one another. It's so cool. Share recipes with each other, that kind of stuff. It really is a big draw. And then the last thing I would say is that MOPS has allowed me to connect with some amazing mentor moms. Amazing. You have a few back here, I believe. If you're a mentor mom, could you raise your hand? Do they know this about you? Do you know this about them, your ladies, that they're mentor moms? They are fantastic. Everyone needs a Miss Peggy or a Miss Ann or a Miss Janelle in their lives, right? Mentor moms are seasoned veteran moms who have lots of wisdom to offer, but they're also just as good at listening to us and listening to our problems. It's amazing. I can bring all my questions to my mentor moms. They love, pray for, encourage us. They point us back to Christ over and over again, and we're just so thankful for our mentor moms. So that's a little bit about what MOPS means to me personally, and now I'll hand it over to Stacy. Before I do that, though, you might find in your pew a little prayer request card that looks like this. Y'all are here for us as our host church, but we're also here for you. If there's any way that we as a MOPS group can be praying for you or for your family, please fill one of these out and let us know. You can either bring it by the table after the service, or you can put it in the offering plate. Is that okay? And they'll make sure that these get to us. So if you find this card, we can pray for you in any way, not just the moms, for anybody. We'd love to pray for you, so please feel free to fill one out. Thanks, you guys.
So I have kind of a crazy story, and I'll try to keep it pretty short. But back in 2012, I was a new mom. I had an infant, and when he was 6 months old, I became sick. And my whole entire life stopped for me and my family, and I pretty much could not be independent on my own at all. And I went through 7 years worth of having to outsource my motherhood to other people to help me and to kind of come alongside me. And back in 2017, I remember just kind of being indifferent to my life and wondering if this is what it was going to be and how fair it was to my son and to my husband and my family. And I kind of got into just a feeling of irrelevance. And I remember waking up one morning, and I was angry that I had woken up. And I know that's pretty deep for a Sunday morning, but this is the truth of my reality. And I realized whenever I woke up and I was mad that I just didn't stay asleep, that if I didn't do something, that eventually it was going to be much worse. And at that point, I couldn't even pray because I was so ashamed. And I mean, how do you find the words to know what to pray for? And I feel like God just saw me where I was at, because in less than a week from that moment, a friend that I have went to church with whenever we were little, she randomly messaged me on Facebook and said, "Hey, I know this is weird, and I promise I'm not just this weird person, but I feel like God is telling me to be your friend, and I was wondering, could I just come visit?" And I was excited because chronic illness is very isolating, and so she came to visit, and she invited me to MOPS. And I went with her to MOPS, and it didn't matter that my entire past 7 years worth of my illness, that I had pretty much been defined as someone who, well, if she's around, we're going to have to pay attention to whether or not she's going to pass out, or whether or not she's going to get sick, or whether or not she's going to have to go home. Whenever I walked into MOPS, and I was walking with a walker, sometimes I would have on a neck brace because of the issues with my neck. Sometimes I wouldn't need a walker. It just depended on my body at that moment. Whenever I walked in, nobody saw me for my illness. They saw me for me, and they reached into me and pulled out my motherhood and was able to show me that I am more than just my illness, and that my son deserves a mom who's invested and who knows that she is loved and knows her worth, because God gave me my son. And even if I would get sick at MOPS and I would pass out, they would bring me some water, they would lift my feet up, and then we would go on about our meeting. And one time I even ended up in the freezer to get myself cooled off. Like it was always just, okay, well, come on, she's not leaving, come on. Like they allowed me to be my entirely full self. And throughout the few years that I was in MOPS, I really started trying to figure out who I was, and they helped alongside me. And whenever I would have a bad day, they prayed. And like she was saying, there's definitely prayer warriors in MOPS. Then a little less than, a year ago, I started having some more issues with my neck. And I went to my nurse practitioner, who happens to be a friend of mine, and she started researching some things, and we together were trying to figure out the best course of action. And she was a warrior when it came to figuring out this rare diagnosis, and she fought for me to get the testing that I needed. And so whenever we figured out that this could possibly be what has caused all my issues all of these years, I went to some of my MOPS moms that I knew would be fiercely praying for me in this moment. And they did, and they were excited for me, and they prayed alongside me. And whenever we got the diagnosis, and it was actually this rare condition that 4% of people in the world have, they celebrated with me, as well as saw the rawness that it was, because with this diagnosis came the only cure is a surgery that is very risky, and you could possibly not make it out of surgery. And so they saw that, and they allowed me to say those words, and they allowed me to kind of deal with the morbid reality that came with knowing that if I went into surgery, I could possibly not wake up. And they allowed me to talk about what it meant for my son. They allowed me to talk about what it meant for my family, and they didn't say, oh, it's going to be fine. I knew that they knew that, but they allowed me to fear and to have anxiety, but to also wrap me in the blanket of their prayer. And so whenever I had the surgery, I had mentioned to one of them that if I was going to do this surgery, I wanted to pretty much, go into it in full worship, so that way I wasn't just waiting and sitting there wondering, okay, when are they going to take me back? Am I going to wake up? I wanted to go into it in pure worship. And I just mentioned it. But that morning, whenever I'm sitting in the hospital bed, a group of my MOPS mamas and mentor moms come in, and Miss Janelle pulls out 2 hymn books from her purse, and she passes them around, and we start singing worship songs in the middle of same-day surgery. And not only did it bless me and my family, but it projected into the hallways and into the rooms of other patients. And that's what MOPS is about. It's about reaching other moms where they are. And they came to me in my moment of need, and I will never, ever be able to repay that, because that meant so much to me that I could be wholly and fully just completely humble in that moment. And I had a really bad reaction to the anesthesia. I ended up in ICU. I ended up, which I knew I would miss it, but the tea party that we have every year is always a big deal for me. I love it, and I missed it. And so they even got together one of the centerpieces from the tea party and brought it to me in my hospital room, dressed up in the hats, and it wasn't nothing to them to walk through the hospital in the big hats and the dresses. And they showed up for me, a fellow mama, to show that they loved me and that they were here for me. And throughout my recovery, they have been with me every single moment to celebrate alongside me. I have been able to have the best summer of my life with my son, who's sitting right back there. And I finally have my motherhood that I've always envisioned. And MOPS has a lot to do with that, because I feel like they have kept me accountable. They have kept me focused on the true meaning of motherhood and how blessed I truly am to be a mom, and not just coasting through and not focusing it all back to God and why He truly made me the mom to that little boy back there. And I am able to go back to work starting tomorrow for the first time in 7 years. And instead of me just being completely overtaken with anxiety about it, they have celebrated with me. They have been encouraging to me. They want to know about it. They ask details. And I will forever, forever have a place in my heart for MOPS, because I never imagined that day back in 2017, whenever I woke up feeling like I did, that I could have the fulfillment that I have now in my life. And I really feel like if anybody ever needs purpose and needs to find your truth, to reach out and search it out, because God's there in the midst of it, and He's going to find you where you are. He's not going to make you come to Him. And so I know some of y'all might not, but Lauren Daigle is a songwriter and an artist, and her new song that she has come out with, I just want to read y'all a piece from it, and then I'll be done. It says, I hear you whisper underneath your breath. I hear your SOS. I will send down an army to find you in the middle of the darkest night. It's true. I will rescue you. And MOPS has truly been my army. They have been there, they have fought with me, they have been in the trenches, and forever I will be grateful. Thank you.
It's a really powerful ministry. So I encourage you, if you have any more questions, please stop by in the gathering space and spend some time speaking with these ladies and let them share some more testimonies with you about how God uses. This is a ministry of FABC, and it's a ministry that a lot of us don't even know a lot about, right? And so it's a hidden gem. And so I encourage you to learn more about it and pray for them on a daily